Ito Junji is kind of sus right about now. And I'm going to tell you why. Hey everybody, it's me, Minu. Welcome back to Minu's Mortuary, where I talk about all things horror media. And today I wanted to talk about a manga that I read recently that I kind of enjoyed, but then I also was kind of creeped out. Not by the manga itself, but like I'm kind of like side eyeing the author here. And that is Hellstar Remina by Junji Ito. Now, this came out a while ago. I didn't realize. Like I'd heard about it, but I never really like read it, which is weird because around the time it came out, so it came out like 2005. In high school, I was reading Junji Ito's manga like crazy. Like I had all the downloads. I was running through Tomie. I was running through Gyo, Uzumaki, Amigara Fall, all of these. And the fact that I never read Hellstar Remina is interesting. But the other thing is interesting is that if I had read it back then, I would not have caught the things that I've caught now as I'm reading it. And I'm saying it like this. Ito Junji, for a long time, I felt that this man was just like afraid of teenage girls. You know? Oh, I forgot to show you my shirt. This is Tomie. I thought that he just kind of was afraid of teenage girls. He kind of gave me the vibes of like, I'm a super nerdy guy and, maybe I didn't have the best time in high school. And so he creates these manga that usually star teenage girls just going through it. Now I would say Tomie is the most well-known, like best interpretation of this, where she is literally like, it's literally like a teenage girl who is a monster and the men around her are just not safe. She's popular, she's beautiful, but she's also a bitch, and the men around her are the ones that are in danger from her. But looking back at it as an adult woman, I'm like, nah, the men in the Tomie, universe are all sus as fuck for trying to mess around with this teenage girl and then hurting her and then being like, oh no, she made me do it. No, like, it just looked different. It hits differently as an adult woman when you know that you're watching a manga about a teenage girl in relationships with grown men, and the grown men enact violence against her. You know what I mean? Like, it is very different than when I was a teenage girl myself and I was like, oh, Tomie, she's so scary. Look, she's the monster. She's turning the men crazy. You know what I mean? Especially someone who wasn't popular in school watching. Oh, God, Sadie, what do you need? Sadie, I'm trying to talk about manga, Sadie. I'm trying to make a video, Sadie. I cannot win with you. Sit down. And just put the top half. No, put the butt down. Okay. As I was trying to say. Nope, she's still doing it. Hold on. As I was trying to say. Ito Junji's mangas hit different as an adult looking at teenage girls versus as a teenage girl reading stories about other teenage girls is what I'm trying to say. And don't mind the hair. I did a wash and go like several days ago. So I've just been rocking I've let my hair shrink. And I thought about pulling it out so that it's a little bit more voluminous, but I was like, never mind. So in order to introduce the story of Remina, I want to do what I did for the Satan Slaves intro. And I want to walk you through, like, really put you in the shoes of the main character. So we're gonna do this little experiment again. Close your eyes. Now imagine you wake up tomorrow and you have over 100 million followers on all of your social media platforms. Your Instagrams, your Facebooks, your TikToks, your Twitter, even on YouTube, and you don't even upload stuff. You have hundreds of millions of followers all over the world. They all love you. They're all shouting your name. You have a fan club pop up. You're getting brand deals. You're getting sponsorships. People are calling your house trying to get you in their commercials and their movies because you have overnight become a global superstar without doing anything. You are just suddenly super, super popular. Now, why are you suddenly super, super popular? Don't really matter. I'm going to get to that when I get more into the story. But now, as everybody knows in this day and age of the internet, Sadie, do not jump on me. I'm telling you, as this day and age on the internet, being super popular also comes with a lot of hate. So you have people who are in the comments and commenting on your photos and they hate you. They don't like you. But these people, they have no reason to like you or hate you, but they hate you. And it's not enough for them to just hate you. They need other people to hate you. So they start, instead of having fan clubs, they start the opposite of a fan club, whatever you would call that, a haters club. And they get with a group of people who all hate you too. And it's not enough for them to hate you. It's not enough for them to talk shit about you on the internet. No, they outside your house. They outside the company that you're working for. They're outside of your parents' house, of your parents' job. They don't just hate you. They want you to suffer. They want you to hurt. And that crowd gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the days go on until your life is literally in danger. And the people who are close to you are also in danger simply because they have associated themselves with you. What do you do in that situation? Is this something you think you can survive? You know, if these people are genuinely wanting to hurt you and they outside, they at all the exits. They are trying to get in. They climbing walls to get to you. You really think you can do something about that? Now imagine also too, you're 16. You're a teenage girl. And all of these people coming for you. And your parents cannot save you. They can't save you. They're not there. And they can't get through the crowd. And they hate your parents too because they made you. Hello, Sadie. Is this something you think you can actually survive? As with a lot of Ito Junji's works, nothing ever feels like a survivable situation. Like sometimes I feel like if a character just ran, like if they just walked out the door and turned around and just said nope, then they could have survived. But a lot of times in his stories, it's not a survivable situation. So I was very interested when I read this manga because I was like, oh no, everybody gotta die. And usually in Ito Junji's manga, especially when I was reading it as a teen, it's not really about the people in the story. Like the people in the story are not the main character. The main character is usually whatever supernatural force is coming after them. So unlike, except for like Tomie and Soichi, there are not a lot of stories where it's like, oh, we're going to follow this character and we want this character to survive. So the interesting thing about Hellstar Remina is that on one hand, Remina technically is the main character, but she technically is not the main character of this story. Because the story is not called Teenage Girl Remina, it's called Hellstar Remina, referring to the planet that her father discovers at the beginning of the story. So that's where the story starts. He discovers this planet. He names it Remina after his daughter because of the fact that it was like 16 the light years with the distance and everything. The planet would have been first discovered like 16 years ago, but we're just now seeing it because of our technology. So he's super excited and he's like, I'm going to name this after my daughter because it's 16 years old, just like my daughter is 16 years old. And the whole world is like, oh my God, this is amazing, a new planet. Now, thinking about this in 2024, if somebody was like, we discovered a new planet, I feel like they discover new planets all the time and nobody really cares. But in this universe where they have flying cars, the whole world is super excited about this new star/planet that has been discovered. And because of it, Remina becomes an overnight sensation, a superstar, the daughter of the guy who discovered this new planet. And she didn't want none of it. She didn't want none of it. She probably didn't even have a MySpace account back then. This is late, you know what I mean? She did not want it to be named after her. She didn't want it to be a part of her. But her dad was like, ha ha ha, be quiet, daughter. I'm doing this for me. It looks cute for me to name it after my daughter. And it's going to benefit you. Trust me. So she becomes an overnight sensation. Everyone loves her. Everyone wants her to be a part of everything. She gets a sponsor from some wealthy family. She gets a fan club. She has this older dude, again, with these adult men talking to these teenage girls. She has this older dude who works at like an agency, and so she becomes his client, and he's like helping push her image and get her ads and commercials and parts and all of that stuff. And he's like, all you gotta do is be yourself, Rimina. We just, because everybody just loves you for who you are. I don't even know who Rimina is, because she just kind of seems like she's just like a gloomy girl who's just like, okay, I guess, I'm here now. It is what it is. It's whatever. And her dad is enjoying all of the attention he's getting from monitoring this new star. And I don't know the full timeline of how everything happens. This could be happening extremely quickly, like days, or it could be weeks. I'm not sure. But while all of this is happening, the scientist, her father, and the scientists that he worked with, they're monitoring this new planet. They're monitoring the planet Rimina. And they notice that Rimina kind of acts like a black hole. Like every time she gets near a star, look at me saying she, like the planet's got gender. But every time Rimina gets near a star, gets near a planet, enters a solar system's orbit, whatever it's near disappears. Like it just is gone. It's not there anymore. And one day they notice that it changes course and starts coming towards their solar system. Now, knowing that every time it gets near something, that thing gets disappeared, they come to the conclusion that Rimina is destroying planets, stars, solar systems, like all of those, entire solar systems. And now it's coming towards Earth. So when they realize this, and the people realize this, they all, of course, panic, because they're like, if it's going to come towards Earth, it is going to destroy us. It's like finding out that there's a black hole coming near your solar system. So everybody's panicking. Everybody's upset. Everywhere Rimina goes, the paparazzi are there. And instead of being like, Rimina, you're so beautiful, now they're like, Rimina, did you know that this planet is going to come destroy our planet? Like they're asking her all these questions. She's like, I don't know. I have no idea what my dad does. And like the majority of the time too, she and her dad are in completely different locations. Like he's over there at the space station or wherever, and working with the scientists, monitoring everything. But they're literally recording, Rimina getting near a planet and that planet disappearing. And the closer Rimina gets, once it enters the solar system, it just literally starts basically devouring these planets. So like completely just like overtaking these planets, swallowing it up. And that information and those images get leaked to the news, and it causes even more panic and chaos because everybody's like, oh my God, it's the end of days. We are going to die. Now, where the weird part of this comes from, right, is that people blame Rimina, the teenage girl, for what's happening with Rimina, the planet. And because of that, people now they go from loving her to hating her because they think somehow that it is her fault, the 16-year-old girl's fault, that this planet is now coming to destroy and kill them all. So people are rioting, people are scared, the paparazzi is harassing her, people are attacking her like, this is all your fault, you guys did this. Like they want her and they want her dad, but her dad's got protection because he's at the observatory, so they are able to protect him there. She don't really have much protection because she was out doing interviews and acting in commercials, and so she's out here publicly. She doesn't really have protection, and and the police don't seem really concerned about protecting her that much either. Like, so these people are outside the ad agency, they're outside her house, like they're doing everything they can to get to her because they blame her for what's happened. And eventually some weirdo crazy person shows up, and he basically says that the only way to stop Rimina, the planet, from destroying Earth is by taking Rimina, the girl, and her dad and killing them as like a sacrifice to the planet. And because of mob mentality and the absolute craziness that is going on, everybody thinks that makes perfect sense. So they're like on the hunt. They are hunting Rimina and her dad. Now, Rimina's dad obviously is very concerned about her, especially when they lose contact, like cell phone wise, because Rimina at this time, she is with her agent, the president of her fan club, and this rich dude who he just looks creepy the whole time because he has a really weird smile. But this rich dude who claims to be her sponsor, and they're like, oh, we're going to protect you. Throw away your phone because they're going to track you through the phone. So you can't have a phone. But don't worry, we all love you and we're going to protect you. So Remina's dad can't get in touch with her and he doesn't know where she is. So he's extremely concerned. He wants to leave to go find her, and they're like, "Sir, you have to stay here. We cannot guarantee your safety if you just out in these streets." And so the bulk of the story, which just goes off the rails, at this point, is the people of Japan going out of their way to try and hunt down and kill this teenage girl because of the fact that there's a planet hurtling towards them that very may well just end them all. Now, rather being like, what was that show, Carol at the End of the World, where everybody's like, oh, the world's ending. We're all going to go have fun and like live out our last days, and we're going to go paragliding, and I'm going to go take those trips I always wanted. And if this happened today, a lot of people would have been more excited. They would have been like, yes, finally, I don't got to go to work. I can do whatever I want to do and just be free of capitalism and all that stuff. But no, in this universe, they're all desperately trying to find a way to appease this planet that they know nothing about. And they don't have much time. Like, Remina's coming towards them faster and faster and faster. It's able to stop and shift directions on a dime, like those UFO footages. Like, it doesn't seem to have to obey the laws of the universe. It can travel as fast as a light year, travel faster than a light year. It all depends on whatever the planet Remina want to do with itself. So Remina's being hunted, and eventually there's this scene, and I want to talk about the scene even though it's not super relevant, where she ends up with the family of the rich guy. So they get separated. She ends up with the family of the rich guy, and he's like, we got this bunker and we're going to put you in the bunker because we're your sponsor. So we got to protect you. We're going to put you in a bunker. But he don't want none of the other people. Her agent, Yasumi, who is the one who convinced her to get into acting and all this stuff, like the sponsor, he doesn't want any of the other men around her to go in this bunker with him. He just wants it to be him, his parents, and Remina, and everybody else can die. Now, obviously, Remina at some point develops feelings for Yasumi, which I'm still pretty sure is a grown man. And so she tries her best to stick with him through everything. But these other guys are just like, no, we want to have you all to ourselves. And it creates this really weird, but uncomfortable again to watch as an adult. It creates this really weird dynamic in the group that's trying to survive. Because you have Remina, you have Yasumi, her agent. You have, what's this nigga name? Naoya, who's the president of the fan club. And then you have Kunihiro, who is the sponsor rich guy who looks super creepy the whole time. So Kunihiro only wants Remina to go into this underground bunker with him. He say fuck everybody else. And obviously this causes a fight because they're like, you're not just going to take her off somewhere to do whatever with. Because you already know that he's up to something. He's been smiling creepily at her the entire manga. So he's already, you don't want her to be alone with him. But things start to get crazier and crazier as the mob that wants to kill Remina grows in size. And so eventually there is a moment where Remina does end up trying to like hide in the bunker with Kunihiro. And he tries to assault her. And she tries to fight back. And then when his parents show up, he's like, oh, she was like coming on to me and now she's trying to pretend that it wasn't me and she's lying. And so then the parents are already like, look, we don't want to be associated with you anymore because you're going to get our family killed. These mobs chasing you are crazy. And they beat her. The mom beats Remina for trying to bring basically drama and death upon her family, and then trying to like slander her son. None of it makes sense. These people, everyone's losing their fucking minds. So she ends up getting kicked out of that situation. And then she's off with Yasumi and Naoya, the fan club president. Yasumi ends up being killed for trying to protect Remina. And Remina's extremely broken up about this because she cared about him so much. and now she's lost him. And she ain't really known Nalia that long at all. But he's like, don't worry, Rimina, I'm here for you. I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna save you. But he sees that she's like crying over Yasmin. He's like, I guess you really didn't love me anyway. And so he ends up abandoning her. And every time she gets caught by the crowd, she is literally abused. Like there's this crazy psychotic guy with a mask that shows up and he's leading the crowd and he's telling everyone, you can't just kill her. You can't just kill her. You have to do it ritualistically. You have to do it this special way. You can't just kill her like everybody else. So there's a point when she gets crucified. And she's crucified, and then her dad is crucified next to her. They stab him a bunch of times until he dies. And then they are trying to, like, you know, beat her. The creepy guy in the mask climbs up on the crucifix and starts licking on her. Again, obviously an adult man, you know, but he's the one telling them that they have to beat her. They have to whip her and do all of these things to her. And then as Remina gets closer, she kind of, the planet kind of like, it messes up the atmosphere. So there's all these type of like tidal waves going. The government's trying to shoot bombs at Remina. It's not working. There's earthquakes happening. The weather's going crazy. So then a huge bomb goes off. Remina survives it. Her dad was already dead, but then he gets like charcoal, and the guy in the mask like just revels in her pain and suffering and how sad she is to see what happened to her dad and Yasmin. And eventually she's like running and she tries to hide with this homeless man. And because she was with him, everybody's just like, okay, kill him too, because nobody should be on Remina's side. Kill anyone who tries to protect her. And they string her and the man up and they beat them like piñatas. Because the masked man says you can't just kill her. And even the crowd is like, kill her, kill her. And Remina's like, yeah, you know what? I'm done. Kill me. I'm ready to go. Everybody I love is dead. The planet's about to be destroyed. Just go ahead and kill me. And this guy in the mask is like, no, it's not enough to kill her. She has to suffer. And it's just like chapters of this girl being tortured over and over again. The homeless man being tortured with her just because he was with her. Putting her back up on the cross. Torturing them even more. Before this, and you couldn't think the story gets any crazier. Though there's literally earthquakes, tsunamis, firebombing, the weather, the planet. Like once Remina is close enough to the planet, you realize that Remina is not a planet. It's some kind of organic being that is able to survive in space. Like it has eyes and a mouth and a tongue and teeth. And so it's literally with this huge tongue, like disrupting Earth's orbit and disrupting the gravitational force. It's got the earth spinning all crazy. And literally, the only reason that Remina and the homeless man survive is because they happen to be in the air at the time the earth starts spinning real hard. So they're able to basically fly because the gravitational pull isn't working anymore. So they're floating in the air, but they're able to basically fly across the world as the world is spinning super fast because Remina is just like fucking with it at this point. Every other planet Remina's gotten close to, Remina has just ate it. Planet Remina gets to Earth and it's just like doo, 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 like playing with its food. It doesn't just eat Earth. And so literally the masked guy does not give up trying to kill Remina. So as Remina and the other guy floating, he's galvanizing as they go across the world all of the other people who are floating, saying if we kill Remina, this all stops. We have to kill her. And so it's like hundreds, if not thousands of people who are flying in the air trying to get at Remina. There's a flying car at one point, but they escaped that. But flying in the air across the world to get at Remina. She passes out at some point. So the homeless man is literally just like carrying her, trying to save her because he's just a good person. The only good person in this manga, apparently. And it's like a swarm of crazy people, all being led by this guy in the mask. And eventually they are able to land back in Japan, like on a building. And Remina ends up getting floated over to like the crazy guy in the mask. And he grabs her and he Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees starts swinging her around, banging her against everything. This girl, her clothes ripped up. She's bloody. She's cut. And she's just like screaming and crying. And he is literally thoroughly enjoying, probably even sexually excited at the torture that he's inflicting on this 16-year-old girl And then eventually the homeless man is able to fight him off, and they find a little small family that was hiding out, and they try to all get to the the mansion of the sponsor family, because that family, they managed to get on some spaceships to go live on Remina, because they had some kind of weird thought that the only way to save Earth is to leave Earth. You can't leave and go to Mars. Mars gone. You can't leave and go to the moon. The moon's gone. But because they're getting messages from someone who had landed on Remina, they're thinking, oh, you actually can live on Remina. So a bunch of rich assholes shoot off into space to go live on Remina. So they're not at home. So the homeless man's like, let's break in here and sneak into their underground bunker. So him and the kids that they had found in Remina, they try to sneak into an underground bunker. The mask guy shows up again, tries to grab on Remina one more time, and then his mask is ripped off, and it's revealed to be Nalia, the president of her fan club, because apparently he was so broken up by the fact that she seemed to like Yasumi, the other grown man, more so than him, another grown man, that he thought that instead of protecting her because she didn't like him like that, he would try to abuse and assault her and thoroughly take pleasure in her suffering. And it's like when his mask comes off, he tries to act like, oh, but I really loved you and all that stuff. But nah. Keep it a buck. You was being gross and weird with this girl, and you formed an unhealthy obsession with her because she's named after a planet, or because the planet was named after her. Make it make sense, man. What is happening? So anyway, they're able to fight them off. Remina, the homeless man, and the kids end up in the bunker, and it's revealed that the homeless man was actually the brother of the rich a-hole that was like sponsoring her, and he disappeared after his parents wouldn't support him becoming an astronaut, and the parents incorrectly assumed that he changed his name and did become an astronaut, and that he was on Remina, and that's why they should go on Remina. And the dad's telling everybody, like, my son's on Remina. My son's on Remina. He's the one that's gonna save us. He's the one that done told everybody we can go live there. We're gonna do great things, whatever. And so they're able to make it into the bunker before Remina finally decides to eat the planet. And somehow this bunker is so strong and so amazing that it, instead of Remina being able to eat it, it shoots out into space. And they have about 2 years worth of oxygen and food and stuff to figure out what they're going to do next. And then what happens on the planet, on Remina, is that on planet Remina, they realize that no, that was not their son. In fact, Remina and all of the weird organisms on its body was able to like manipulate the human body and then send out those messages, signals, and even like make the body wave at them and stuff like that. But the air on Remina's surface is extremely poisonous and toxic, and it literally melts your face. And the rich people who landed there only have 2 days of oxygen. So they're done. They're done. And I think that that's what they deserve. But did I think that for all of the stuff that we got, it was anywhere equal to the amount of trauma that Remina went through, the girl? No. No, it made no sense. It was so much torture. Like, it felt like I was watching those movies like I Spit on Your Grave or something like that. Like, I was like, why are you prolonging the suffering of this girl? You're drawing it so intently. And it wasn't that she was, because, you know, people try to explain away Tomie by literally saying like, hey, she's a monster. She's something not human. And she makes the guys go crazy. And that's why they do it. In this one, Remina's a normal teenage girl, and the guys went crazy anyway. So on one hand, me not knowing Junji Ito, on one hand, it's like, okay, so the men was just crazy and perverted, and there was no good person except for that one homeless man that she ran into later on that was actually determined to help her. So on one hand. But on the other hand, Junji, why you draw this? Why did you do this? Why? Because even in the Tomie stuff, yes, is it gory? Is it violent? Yes, but it's pretty quick. There's not a single chapter or a single volume of a Tomie manga where the entire thing is just her being bound, tortured, cut up, like all of these things, right? It's usually like normal stuff happens, then it's like, oh fuck, tell me A, and then you get some shock value with maybe like some experiments that she was doing or something like that. But this was chapter after chapter of this girl who didn't do nothing to nobody being tortured. And by the time she gave up, which I think it was either after her dad died or Yasumi died. But by the time she gave up, shit, I gave up too. I was like, you can't keep doing it. I'm being punished. At this point, I'm being punished because I'm having to sit here and watch her go through all of this for no reason. It's not like she was some kind of selfish girl. It's not like there's nothing about her that, would make it acceptable for her to go through this. And it's not like she was selfish. It's not like she was rude. It's not like she wanted any fame or spotlight. Literally because of her dad, because of his pride and him wanting the limelight and wanting all of this recognition as a scientist, he pulls her into this stuff. If he had not pulled her into that and named it anything else, he could have named it after himself. Like people do that all the time. She would have lost her dad, sure. And she probably would have died with everybody else when Remina ate the planet. But she wouldn't have experienced, like, I don't know, a week, several days, of just pure unadulterated torture. And also slight molestation. Even though she was unconscious at the time, that Nalia in the mask was over there licking on her. It was just too much. And that's why I'm saying, like, Ito, you looking a little sus to me, because why you draw it like that? Why you draw something that drawn out? Like, usually his stuff that he does, it's like normal, creepy. Like, this is the plot of a lot of stuff. Normal life, normal people, okay? They come in contact with something creepy. At first, they don't think anything of it. But then the creepiness kind of builds up. And it gets more creepy and it gets more creepy. And then you get the big reveal of something horrifying. He'll give you turn the page and it's the whole page. And it's like, somebody's weird, messed up body. Like, you see the horrifying stuff. And then the person probably who reacts to it, who's supposed to be the main character, they're running from it, right? They're usually running from it, trying to find a way to survive. They're usually hiding. Maybe the loneliness of it all tortures them, or maybe they just end up involved in it anyway and they get got. It's not often you watch just full on just torture of somebody who is completely innocent. And I feel for what she went through, what happened to the people who hurt her was not good enough. You know what I mean? Like, yes, the rich dude who tried to assault her and his mother who did actually beat her up after she was after her son attempted to assault her. Yes, they end up on the planet Remina and they realize they only got 2 days of oxygen and they can't actually survive there. And yes, their dad abandons them because he's like every man for himself. I needed more of that. I needed to see some monsters come off Remina's skin. I needed to see the trees grab them. Like, I needed more to punish them for what they did to Remina. For all of those people across the world who were chasing after her, who were beating her, who were trying to kill her, like, once the earth stops spinning and the gravity like fixes itself for a short period of time, all those people just fall to the ground and die because they were in the air. So then they all just die immediately. And then now you Mr. Fan Club, your number one biggest fan, his death is literally just like him holding on to Remina. He has this little reveal moment about how he loves her. And then he like flies off because the earth is spinning again. Assumingly he's going to, splatter into a building or something and die a quick death. Why is everybody getting these quick deaths? I need more. This is why I like those revenge movies, because yes, they do a lot of torture and they draw it out and they're very detailed, sometimes unnecessarily with the violence and the gore. But then the payoff is that person gets their revenge and they get to torture and hurt them in unique and interesting ways. So you get the vindication, right? There was no real vindication here. Like, yes, She survives, a homeless man survives, and a few kids that they found, and now they're floating through space, and they got 2 years to figure out what the hell they're gonna do. Because it's not like the bunker was a spaceship. So it's not like they can navigate it anywhere. I don't even know if there's anything in there that would allow them to communicate with other planets or even see what's outside. Well, no, they can see outside the bunker window, I think. But like, that's it. So eventually they're either going to all die floating through space because it's space. Also, too, Remina fucking ate everything in the whole solar system. So even so, they're going in the opposite direction of Remina, which is fine, but they're probably just gonna die out in space after 2 years of hanging out, because unless some random alien planet decides to grab them and rescue them, but I don't see that happening. Not in a Junji Ito story, I don't. But I'm just like, all of that suffering and torture so she can hang out in a bunker in space and die slowly. She was ready to go. I was ready to go. I don't know. I don't know. Ito, like, I felt a lot of times that he was afraid of teenage girls by the way that he presented them in, like, these horrifying ways. Like, Army of One is also a part of this manga. And Army of One ends with, finding out that the woman character in that one was the bad guy, the one committing crimes. But, even in Gyo, if I can talk about other manga before, even in Gyo, the girl there did suffer, but it wasn't as visceral. It was kind of like you knew she was kind of suffering, even if you couldn't tell. And then she finally was put out of her misery, and it was like, oh, she can rest now. What does Remina get out of all this? What is her win? And I know in a lot of manga there isn't a win, but if you gonna give me this much perversion, audacity, torture porn, give me some type of win payoff at the end. I just feel like you just spent however long it took him to draw this manga torturing a teenage girl. And I find that really sus. And now I feel like I need to go reread some of the manga that I enjoyed in the past, because it's not hidden like it did before. It's not hidden like it did before. Usually I'd be interested to see what supernatural horrors await us, but that just felt like torture. But yeah, that Hellstar Remina got to go back in the freezer. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I just want to put that away and walk out of the morgue, because I was just like, why you do this? Why you do this? I'm looking at him a little bit more side eye right now. But anyway, thank you guys so much for sitting through me talk about this. Again, I'm long-winded. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to make these recaps shorter so I can talk about the stuff that I really want to talk about. But it's like, as I'm doing the recap, I'm also like, but another thing, But thank you guys so much for listening to me rant about this particular manga. I do still love Ito's work, and I do want to talk about more of his work. I want to talk about Tomie. I want to talk about Gyo. I want to talk about Amigara Fault. I want to talk about a lot of the stuff that, that I've read and I've enjoyed, but also some of the stuff that I also felt like, you know what I mean? So I hope you guys, if you like the video, please like the video, subscribe, because I have more things to talk about. I'm always watching new horror movies. I'm currently reading through another horror manga. I'm also currently watching a horror show that I'm excited to tell you guys about when I finish it. Or maybe I'll make a two-parter to be like, okay, halfway through, here's my thing and here's my ending. I don't know. But if you like Hellstar Remina, please tell me about what you liked about it in the comments. If you didn't like it, tell me what you liked about it in the comments. I always love to hear other people's opinions on the horror media that I consume, because it's open to interpretation. But as always, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.